Have you ever wondered about the simmering tensions in the South China Sea and the boiling frog strategy China is accused of implementing? It's a rather peculiar term, isn't it? A frog in a pot of water, unaware that the heat is gradually increasing until it's too late. This metaphor is often used to describe situations where change is so gradual that it goes unnoticed until it's too late to reverse. Now, let's shift our focus to the South China Sea, where this strategy is allegedly being employed by none other than China. This vast body of water, claimed by multiple nations, has become a hotbed of military tensions. China has been gradually upping the ante, slowly escalating its military aggression in a calculated manner. The outgoing chief of the US Indo-Pacific Command has likened these actions to the boiling frog strategy. But what does this strategy look like in action? It's a subtle game of gray zone warfare, where actions are aggressive enough to change the status quo, but not quite provocative enough to justify a full-blown military response. It's a pattern of airspace violations, physical confrontations, and audacious military actions towards its neighbors, particularly Taiwan and the Second Thomas Shoal, a disputed area claimed by the Philippines. These actions are not just random acts of bullying, they are strategic moves, steadily pushing the boundaries of acceptable behavior and altering the landscape of power in the region. The implications of these actions are far-reaching, and they pose a significant threat to regional stability. But here's the catch with the boiling frog strategy. It only works if the frog doesn't realize it's being boiled. That's why it's crucial for nations in the region to speak out against China's aggressive behavior and to take collective action to preserve their sovereignty and regional stability. As the pot continues to simmer, the question becomes who will jump out and who will be boiled alive. To keep the metaphor going, the nations of the South China Sea must decide whether to leap from the pot or risk becoming the frog that didn't jump in time. The stakes are high, and the world watches with bated breath. But what is the US's role in this simmering tension, and why is it such a delicate balancing act? Walking on a tightrope, the United States finds itself in a precarious position, attempting to counter China's aggression in the South China Sea. The task is not simple. It is a delicate dance of deterrence against China, reassurance to allies like the Philippines, diplomacy with China, and domestic political considerations. The United States is not just countering a military threat, it's also safeguarding trade routes and security partnerships. Its credibility in the region hangs in the balance. For the US, the stakes are high. If it fails to intervene, it risks losing these vital interests. But a direct confrontation with China could escalate tensions further, a scenario that no one desires. So, how does the US navigate these choppy waters? It's about containment and control. The US is utilizing a multi-pronged approach to keep China's aggression in check. Sanctions have been employed, targeting key sectors of the Chinese economy. Military support for allies in the region has been ramped up to reassure them of US's commitment to their security. Diplomacy, too, plays a crucial role. Through diplomatic channels, the US is working to draw a line for China without provoking a larger conflict. It's a delicate balancing act indeed. But the pressure is mounting. A single fatal incident could force a reassessment of US policy, pushing the region towards a potential crisis. In this high-stakes game of chess, the US must master the art of balance or risk toppling the board. Amidst the tension, where does the Philippines stand? And how are they responding to China's increasing assertiveness? In the face of China's escalating assertiveness, the Philippines has been anything but passive. The country has taken a firm stand, asserting its sovereign rights over areas within its exclusive economic zone, such as the Whitsun Reef. Here, the Philippines has accused China of deploying over 100 vessels, an act that Manila perceives as a blatant violation of its territorial rights and a deliberate provocation. But the Philippines isn't making these claims in a vacuum. The country's stance is backed by a pivotal ruling from the Hague Permanent Court of Arbitration in 2016. This ruling, though largely ignored by Beijing, has provided the Philippines with a legal foothold to counter China's territorial claims. The Philippines has also been seeking to strengthen its military ties with allies, especially the United States, in an effort to balance China's growing influence in the region. This move is not just about securing military support, but also about reinforcing the country's diplomatic position on the international stage. The Philippines' response to China's gray zone tactics, such as the deployment of a large number of vessels and the use of water cannons, has been measured yet firm. Manila has made it clear that it will not be bullied into surrendering its territorial rights. Instead, it is taking proactive steps to protect its interests, whether it's through international arbitration, diplomatic negotiations, or strengthening alliances. In the high-stakes chess game of geopolitical maneuvering, the Philippines is proving that it is not a pawn to be pushed around, but a player with its own strategies and defenses. Despite the challenges, the Philippines remains resolute, committed to safeguarding its sovereignty and standing up to any form of aggression. Indeed, the Philippines is not backing down without a fight. So, what is the crux of this territorial dispute? At the heart of it all, we find ourselves faced with territorial disputes over Scarborough Shoal and the Spratly Islands, areas rich in resources and strategic importance. The underlying issue is the escalating military tensions brought on by China's aggressive military posturing. The actions of the Chinese government, akin to a boiling frog strategy, have been gradual yet persistent, causing ripples of unease among its neighboring countries. This is not merely a regional concern. The international community has been keenly observing the unfolding events, particularly the United States, which has been pushing back against China's aggression, walking a tightrope between countering Beijing's actions and avoiding a full-blown conflict. The Philippines, on the other hand, has not been silent. Backed by international law, they've been asserting their sovereign rights, seeking international support and closer military ties to counter the growing Chinese influence. But it's not a simple black and white issue. The South China Sea is a melting pot of overlapping territorial claims, and this delicate balance of power is constantly being tested. As the South China Sea continues to boil, the world watches with bated breath, awaiting the next move in this complex and high-stakes territorial dispute.